Hey guys, so same thing. I got decayed a little bit, I placed a little low, and I spent an entire weekend working on getting back to Masters. And in fact, I actually got pretty close to accidentally hitting GM as well. And I wanted to go through and just show guides of all the heroes that I used to get back to Masters. I played every single role on the way back up, and I figured I would just kind of go through these and explain what you should do. In fact, one of the guides that I'm going to be making was actually on my Smurf, but it was funny because we were going against two other Smurfs that were both Grandmaster players, so it was kind of funny to have that play out. But either way, I am going to be showing you guys Rehgar and talking about how to play Rehgar in order to rank up. You can see I'm against some of the Grandmaster players I played with in a previous video, and so it is again, it's going to be a lot of fun for this one. You can see one of my favorite little tricks to do if I'm worried about getting poked in a lane is drop down a Totem and then a Lightning Shield to just kind of clean up the wave a little bit. Level 1, I think Greymane was going to go for one camp, so I decided to go for a different one. So right here, I hit a fountain. Wait, do I not? Oh no, I was going to cover the lane first, I guess. Normally, at 1 minute, I'll hit a fountain and I'll go straight up for this bruiser camp. But in this case, I think I wanted to cover one lane. I don't know why I just used a totem there instead of also using a thing. Either way. So my team starts fighting over this bottom area. I heal them up. Early on with Rehgar, I usually focus primarily on camps, but when my team needs me and it's over something important like one of our camps, then I want to be out there. I want to be helping them out. And I burned a lot of mana to help my team out on that fight, so we're going to head out. And the big thing that you need to know about Rehgar is his healing is not very good. And that's why you have to utilize all of his utility to try to make up for it. So Rehgar's playstyle in the early game is going to be macro, utility, and ganks, as well as just doing whatever you can for the overall sense of the game. Because you're healing, unlike Lucio, where I could just top every healing chart every single game, and that's how I do it. With Rehgar, I can't do that. So you see, I grabbed a fountain before I started this camp. I want to stay pretty healthy during the camp. I don't want to get ganked. You can do it without a fountain, but I just want to do whatever I can to stay in this game for as long as possible. Plus, I hit the fountain relatively early. We'll have this camp pushing while the objective's going, or at least at the start of the objective, and it's going to give us a good chunk of experience. When the game gets a little bit later, your playstyle is going to shift on Rehgar to play a little bit safer, a little bit more like a heal bot, and kind of go from there. But for the early game, it's all about utility, and it's all about applying pressure through ganks, and don't just sit in one lane forever. Always be sitting, grabbing camps, setting up for stuff, and trying to get, because he has a surprisingly good gank in the early game. You use Ghost Wolf, you charge in, you do damage, you slow them with Earthbind, and you put a Lightning Shield either on yourself or on your ally that's also going to be ganking, and you can do a surprising amount of damage. In fact, a lot of the ganks that I do on Rehgar, I can do about 50% of the health of the enemy by myself, and I'm just a support. So it's kind of fun to have that extra member in case you ever need it to do that extra damage. Now let's talk about the build that I go. For the games like this in solo queue, I tend to go Stormcaller a lot. You can get a lot of your mana back, especially on maps like this where fights tend to happen around other things. For example, you're on this, and say your Greymane's attacking an enemy while being next to one of the Sky Temple minions, you get extra mana from it dealing damage to that. The other part is, it's just nice because your team doesn't normally handle wave clear, so you can use this Lightning Shield to get your mana back on waves, as well as wave clearing. So you're not only wave clearing for free, but you're actually wave clearing with a net positive. And that's something that not a lot of people can do. In this case, I'm a Rehgar. I can't out-heal the damage that the enemies are doing, but the cool part about using Rehgar on Sky Temple is that you don't really need to hold the point for very long. You just need to hold it for slightly longer than the enemies. And that's the cool part, is Rehgar maybe can't keep everyone topped off forever, but he can keep people topped off enough to where you can grab the point and then leave, which is why I love playing Rehgar on Sky Temple. I love playing Rehgar on Dragonshire for a different reason. While Dragonshire you need to win for a long time, the camps on Dragonshire can apply a lot of pressure, and Rehgar can actually dominate in 1v2s and 1v1s on Dragonshire while your team's working on getting something else. So if you need to hold a point for a little bit, just pick up the level 1 Talon Electric Charge, and you can deal a lot of damage to the enemies while healing yourself. So it's a really cool build, and I'll show you guys a W build Rehgar on Dragonshire as well. But I just wanted to show you guys this Totem build for this particular one. So I am going Totem build, and Totem build usually goes Colossal Totem into Healing Totem into Earthgrasp Totem. But I'm not going for Healing Totem because, again, I want to cover Wave Clear for my team, and I want to get my mana back from that Wave Clear. So you see all this mana that's popping up. It's all what I really want to be getting. Staying in the fights longer, healing more often, just really valuable for me. Healing Totem is something that you go if you have really high health teams because it gives you 2% of their max health back, or you go if you need that vision, but you will struggle a little bit in mana if you're having to wave clear for your team a lot, which makes it to where I pick Healing Totem when I'm playing competitive with players that I know and I've played with before, and I pick Stormcaller when I play in Storm League most of the time. Cleanse is just something that I really like, but I'm going to give you guys a really major tip with Cleanse. Whenever you pick Cleanse, look for a very specific ability to look for every single game when you're cleansing people. Don't just cleanse people when they get low health. Don't just cleanse people when something weird happens. Always look at this and go, what are they going to be doing that I need to cleanse? And so in this case, I'm looking to cleanse the root here, and I don't care about really anything else. The polymorph is going to be important if there's like no other roots out or anything like that, but the roots can be the primary thing that I'm going to be looking to cleanse this game. I will still be using cleanses to try to save people from any situations, and I can also cleanse a mosh pit if he did go mosh, but he didn't go mosh, so I'm not going to be trying to cleanse a mosh pit. Why do I say cleanse a mosh pit? Because if you cleanse an ETC as he's moshing and they all try to use all their interrupts on him, then all the interrupts won't actually interrupt him and the mosh will go off. Right there, my Ancestral doesn't go off. Again, always try to Ancestral before you throw your heals out. And you can see that I did do that because of the way the cooldowns are going. I fired off the Ancestral and immediately did a chain heal to try to keep him alive longer, as it's like a second surprise heal. Ancestral goes out and they're like, wait, we can burst him. And then you give them a second surprise heal, and they waste all their burst on a target that's about to get a lot of health. But even through that extra heal, it still wasn't enough to try to keep everyone topped off. So just do what you can about keeping people topped off with chain heal, and this objective is going to be really hard for us to get, so I usually just give up objectives that we have no chance of getting, and I'll go and get something else. The importance of doing this is because if you're going to lose something, you need to make sure that you gain something out of it as well. In this case, our ETC ends up using Stage Dive to get into the fight, and that's something that I wasn't expecting, and my team was going in. He did say it, to be completely fair to him. I'll blame myself, not him. And if you ever expect a fight to continue on like this, sometimes this is a great time to just quickly toss an Ancestral. A lot of people see Ancestrals on, like, outside of bursty fights as, oh, it's a mistake. But honestly, I just use it as a healing spell a lot of times. But in this case, we just want to finish up this objective. We're going to be using our W to get our mana back, our Q to keep everyone topped off. I leave it 2 dots every time because in the time it takes for it to channel down, it will hit right here at 2 dots, and right as it hits the 5 dot mark. So if you leave it 2 dots, it'll go 1 dot and 0 dot, and then right here at 0 dot it just locks out and it fires off the last 5 shots. Once again, I'm going for another bruiser camp. You can see how we started off down experience this game and down pressure, but we've actually won a good chunk of both objectives, and I'm covering the map in camps almost the entire time. So we're always applying pressure with Rehgar, and we're always getting a lot of value. And our goal and our big power spike in this totem build is level 16, when we can drop down a totem that does a 90% slow to everyone that it hits for 1 second. And that's a pretty good number, especially since you can fire that off every 15 seconds to do essentially an ultimate, which is rooting, like it almost roots their entire team for 1 second. That's practically a instant cast version of what's her name? Ring of Frost, right? It's almost like an instant cast Ring of Frost. which is just so powerful that people don't realize how strong it actually is. Right there was another situation where I wanted to leave and go do something else, but my team wanted to stay there. You see, I do still leave wolf form a couple seconds before I fire my ability so that I have wolf form available whenever I need it, and I can still heal people and do whatever I need to. In this case, I just dropped down a totem in case we needed to back up. That totem tanked a few tower shots for us, but it's still not looking very good for us. We're going to be taking a lot of damage here. Because of the poke that they have two major poke heroes here. I did end up going Tidal Waves. You might see most people pick up Earth Shield at this tier. While Earth Shield is great if you have a tank that's going to be constantly taking damage, this is it's a very efficient shield that you can give to tanks, and your tanks usually take the most damage. It's also great if the enemies have a lot of single target damage. When they have a lot of poke, I just like this talent a lot. Reduces your chain heals cooldown, as well as you will it'll take less mana, so you can keep people topped off a little bit better. You'll see in these team fights, it'll be a lot easier for me to keep everyone topped off now after I've picked up this talent. So where we've been losing a lot of these fights in the early game, I will be still getting a lot of value. So I told my team to prioritize bottom lane here. My reason is because we were really close to taking down a fort, and so if we could prioritize bottom, we were able to get this fort and also get this fort from it. I do leave it when they start pushing forward a little bit, creating a slowing totem so that he can't really push in. The great part about going against an Arthas is there's not much that he can do in a lot of these situations. So right here, I see that he charges back in, and I'm a little worried. So these are the areas where I would probably throw a quick Ancestral just to top him off so that he doesn't get instantly blown up. One combo from this Alarak, and this Greymane's dead. So if this Greymane thinks that it's time to go back into the fight, I want to make sure that he's at full health. So you see I throw a quick Ancestral on him, keep him topped off, and we are stalling out 5 people as Tastar is getting top lane, but we're actually not doing bad right here because we're keeping everyone topped off with our Q, and the enemies are actually using up a lot of abilities. And we get to start off and pretty much get this fight in a good position. Now I'm going to drop down a slowing totem in the area that Arthas needs to walk through, while also keeping everyone topped off. You see how aggressive I'm playing, but I'm not diving into the fights. The later this game goes, you're going to see I stop playing as aggressive as I was playing in the early game by jumping in and ganking over and over and over. And I'm going to start playing a lot more back or to the side. So at this level, I'm playing a lot to the side, where if you see during these fights, my team is kind of sitting around here while I'm sitting up here and the enemy team's right here. This allows me to quickly use wolf form and then drop down a totem and slow the enemies, or this allows me to quickly walk with my team, drop a totem to save my team. So both of those are great tools. You can see I left it 2 dots left, and it still was able to fire off all of those things. And same thing. So now I have like my mini ultimate ability. And to me, once you hit level 16 on Rehgar, you're in a really good position to stop all the engages of the enemy team while setting up any engages for our team. So looking at their team, I'm going, okay, well, what engages do they have? They have Hanzo Arrow into their team just walks into us. That's it. That's all that they have for engages. So as long as I don't get hit by the Hanzo Arrow, all I have to do is drop down a totem, and Arthas will never be able to engage onto our team, and we'll be able to win for free. And this works with a lot of heroes, actually. Same with Garrosh. Every time, look at that totem. Immediately, I use a 15-second cooldown. He blows a 30-second cooldown and dies anyways. It's such a powerful tool, and it gets so much value. Again, if Greymane decides to go back into this fight, I will just be tossing an ult onto him so we can stay alive longer. But it's like an ultimate ability whenever I want it. And I'm just keeping everyone topped off. I mean, once you take up that level 13 talent against a poke-heavy team, it's very easy to keep everyone topped off. You get a real low cooldown of chain heal, and again, I just can stop their engages by tossing down a totem at any time. It's a very, very powerful build against things that don't have a tank that has huge mobility, like an Anubarak. You can't really do anything with Earthbind Totem against an Anubarak. But most other tanks, you can just drop down the totem and it stops whatever engage they're doing, or at least pops along cooldown. I would say Anubarak and Johanna are probably the worst case scenarios, where Johanna can just she can have just as low of a cooldown on her trait as your Earthbind Totem. So you try to root, she uses her trait, she gets you guys anyways. But in situations like this, It's really easy to drop an Earthbind Totem. So again, I tell my team to prioritize middle. Why do I tell my team to prioritize middle? The reason I did it this time is because I wanted to stay closer to boss, and if the enemies send too many people up top, we get boss come back and grab mid as well. The other reason is you can always check the health of all the structures to see if there's any structure that's going to be more valuable for you to go to. And in this case, top is actually more valuable for them to get, so I'm actually surprised I did do priority middle, but I think it's because if we go top with too many people, they're going to take boss. We do have a Greymane, a Rehgar, and a Lunara who's going Nature's Culling, so getting a boss is really fast for us, so I think that's my major reason why I chose them to prioritize middle. I also like to type to my team and give them a plan every time, because if you don't, I have this rule that I always like to say, where it's like, if you don't tell your team what to do, they're going to do something stupid. So if you tell your team to prioritize one, at least you have all 5 people in the same spot, even if it's the wrong call. It's better than have everyone splitting up and then losing even if it was the right or wrong call. Because even if you like have everyone in the wrong call, you at least don't wipe and you don't throw. And that's usually how these games end for this. So again, this is a great spot for me to drop down a totem. And you're going to see if we do decide to take this fight, I just need to drop down. Look at that, 90% slow. They can't chase the ETC. And honestly, if we wanted to kill anyone, we could, but we don't need to. 80% slow, and everyone on our team gets out. He pops an ult because he gets slowed by my little totem. 15-second cooldown, he drops army. Such an amazing ability, and that's why I love this build. It's a little bit weaker in the early game, and it does a little bit less damage. I don't really want us fighting over there. I would rather us be in a safer position, but I'm going to do my best to at least get to my team. And we do have that goes down, and I'll drop down a totem to slow to continue that off. Now that we have that, we can go for boss. And again, because we were closer to mid lane, boss is very easy for us to get. What happened to them was my concern about what was going to happen to us if we went for top lane, or if we didn't make a call at all. We would just split up like they split up. They didn't really know what to do. They had 2 people here, they had 2 people here, and they had 1 person trying to go up for the top objective. So they ended up just losing everything. And that's why it's better to make a call, even if you're not sure that's the call you should be making. So that's why I love this totem build. It's really, really powerful depending on the tanks you're going against. And it's really good on this map because you can just set up so many fights that the enemies aren't prepared for. I also like this build on Tomb of the Spider Queen because, again, you don't really... you need an engage to win on that map. So it's great to be able to drop a totem down and just drop it. Not to mention that having that extra totem on that map could give you vision so that the enemies can't approach, but I would probably still be going Stormcaller outside of coordinated teams. We hit level 20. I have 2 major rules for level 20. Either go Rewind or Storm Shield. If you're really good at the game and you're good at landing all of your abilities, Rewind tends to be better for the totem build because you can lock down all the enemies to save your team, and then you can, if your team starts winning the fight, you can Rewind and lock down all the enemies while also getting double heals and double shields throughout all of that. But I have reasons why I don't like Rewind that much is because it's going to burn your mana real fast. Rehgar doesn't have the mana to throw out a lot of abilities. If you throw out your totem, let's say you throw out 3 or 4 heals, and then a totem, a lightning shield, and then a heal, and then a rewind, a totem, a lightning shield, and heal. If you don't win right there, you're out of mana, and then you can't do anything else in the fight. Which is why I just like Storm Shield a lot of times, especially if I'm not going Earth Shield, because Rewind's great when you go Earth Shield because you get extra value off of all of your abilities, not just the couple abilities. Getting 2 lightning shields out in this build that I'm in right now is pointless, which is why I like Storm Shield. Gives you that chance to save everyone without using any mana. We shouldn't need it this game, though. We just need to wait for the enemies to get slightly out of position, and then we will simply just pop a totem and lock them down. I don't even cleanse in situations. If the root's not going to kill my team, I don't even cleanse. And that was a great wall from our Tassadar. Was able to, again, another great wall from our Tassadar. Once you get level 20 on Tassadar, no matter what ulti goes, it's pretty much game. Right as his Unstoppable's over, I'm just going to root him, and there we go. And that is game. That is how you play Rehgar. Get camps and gank each lane on the early game. Be with your team for every objective. Play him on maps that have a lot of camps, as well as play him on maps that that you can utilize, like getting in and out of the lanes a lot. I go Totem build when we need an engage, or if W build just isn't going to get a lot of value. I like to play W build on maps like Dragonshire. But yeah, that's essentially it. Overall, the build, one more time, just so you guys can see it, is Colossal Totem. For the slow/root Stormcaller cleanse. Again, if you don't use cleanse a lot, if you're not good at it, don't pick it. But I like this talent to save one person, and I only focus on watching one or two abilities when I'm using it. Ancestral Healing to save people from burst. Tidal Waves for against poke, or you go the shield for your tank, so that you can give your tank a nice healthy shield when he goes in. Earth Grasp is a pretty much an ultimate ability on a 15-second cooldown, and Storm Shield to save some mana. And there you go. That is how I play Rehgar, and I currently have a 100% win rate with him this season, and over the lifetime, I have an 82% win rate with him on Dragonshire, and pretty high win rate. I think I'm at 75% on Sky Temple. He is a great healer, and in fact, if I remember correctly, he's still one of the highest win rate healers in Storm League. Even though his healing is relatively low. Like, if you looked at healing right now, like, 50,000 healing for being level 20 is nothing. My Lucio at level 20 was at 100,000 healing. My Alex Strauss is at like 140,000 healing. 50,000 healing is nothing, but it's the utility that I brought to the game. It's the fact that I was able to join team fights, apply a lot of pressure instantly, and we get value immediately. That's why he's so good. But you need to play him on maps that have very short fights. Don't pick him on Braxis, where you're going to have fights for the entire time because you're going to run out of mana. Pick him on maps where the fights are short, you can get value really quickly, and there's a lot of camps, and you're going to notice that Rehgar is an amazing healer and an amazing support that you can do a lot to bring your team to victory. And that's it. So if you guys have any extra tips for Rehgar, toss it down in the comments below, and feel free to check out any of my other videos.